All right, here we go. We're going live. Now I'm going to try out a few things. I was messing around with them, but I have my light precipitously perched up here. Hopefully that'll work. And I have my brand new audio interface. I don't know if you can hear it very well. I have been having it. Well, I'm going to listen to it on the stream and see. I want to make sure it sounds okay. Oh, that sounds good. Let's see if this sounds too loud. Does that sound too loud? That sounds good. Let's see if this sounds too loud. Does that sound too loud? That does sound too loud. How does this sound? Does that sound okay? How does this sound? Does that sound okay? That sounds about right. That sounds about right. It's turned up all the way. Let's try it just one more time, real quick, before I record this whole thing and it's not correct. Let's try it just one more time, real quick, before I record this whole thing and it's not correct. Mic check 1 2. The level is so low in my console. Mic check 1 2. The level is so low in my console. Okay. So the LA2A is on, the Pultec's on, the limiter's on, the pre-mic is on. I normally listen right here, so let's see. That's that. Let's up this level. Up, 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 up. Up, 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 up. Let's up the output. Up the output. Up, 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 up. Up, up, up. You know what? It sounds good enough. I'll keep messing with it, but I'm pretty sure this sounds blown out. Does this sound blown out? I'll keep messing with it, but I'm pretty sure this sounds blown out. Yeah, that sounds blown out. Okay. Does that sound good? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that sounds blown out. Okay. Does that sound good? 1, 2, 3. That sounds okay. We're going with that. That sounds okay. Yeah. We're going with that. Okay. Sorry, guys. There's no way to really tell until you just effing ship. Hit the button. All right. Okay. So let's just get into this. I am That's interesting. I'm hearing like feedback in my own headphones. I don't even think I have the stream up on here. I don't even know. Oh, here it is. It is up on here. So we'll close that. Close that completely. Close this. And we'll put this over here. Put this over here. And let's get going. Okay. So I'm doing this. I have not watched this debate that I'm about to watch in, oh man, I don't even know, over a year. It's been a long time. Um, a little background to this. I first started becoming politically aware when I was 17. Um, it was 2003. The Iraq War was in full swing, and it was the re-election campaign for George W. Bush. 9/11 had happened. I was in 8th grade when 9/11 happened. I remember I was in Mrs. Mesh's class. I didn't know what was going on. Um, does the audio sound good, Johnny? I'm trying out my new Apollo Twin, and I'm hoping it sounds okay. Anyway, I was in 8th grade, Mrs. Mesh's class. We were told the Twin Towers were hit. This was 2001. I was 14 years old. When I think of myself at that age, I was such a little kid. Awesome, Johnny. Good to hear it. I was a baby. I was scared of everything, and I was scared on that day. I didn't know my mom would watch the Today Show every morning with Katie Couric. It would be on, and I would watch it until 7 a.m. when Sonic the Hedgehog came on, and I would eat powdered donuts and watch Sonic the Hedgehog. Well, no, that was in kindergarten. It's my entire childhood is jostled into place. But anyway, let's go back to 14. So it hits. I don't really know what's going on. They start telling us on the news that Osama bin Laden's a bad guy. That's what I remember. Something about terrorism. I mean, I'm completely politically unaware. Uh, I was just terrified. I don't know if I was terrified. I remember the feeling in my stomach because I went home and I watched the news on my mom's bed in rural Missouri on her little TV she had on top of her I don't know what you call it, clothes closet, armoire or whatever. I was watching the planes hit the towers, and I don't know, like any American, it reminds me a lot of that bridge being blown up in Russia today. I saw on VK Russell Bentley's like, "What are you gonna do now, Putin?" Everybody felt that way. They just did this to us. What are we gonna do? So there's so many more things I know now. Project for a New American Century. Was it Robert Kagan? What is Victoria Newland's husband's name? Anyway, they said they need another Pearl Harbor level event to get us into Iraq. I didn't know any of this stuff at the time. I thought people that said things like that were insane. I thought it was interesting. I remember when the film Spare Change came out a few years later. I thought it was interesting, but I thought those people were nuts. I didn't give them any validity. So fast forward to I'm 17. It's 2003. I remember feeling in my gut, everyone around me is a Republican in rural Missouri. Everyone. All I remember as a child was my dad hated Bill Clinton. I remember that politically, which he wasn't wrong about that. Uh, so I remember in my gut feeling like I really hope, I really hope that George W. Bush wins because um, we were in the middle of the Iraq War. There was really no talk that I remember at that time in 2003, just as a completely apolitical 17-year-old with, everything else on my mind that a teenager has on their mind other than politics. And I just remember feeling in my gut like we need to, what's the old political commercial? Don't change horses midstream. Vote Lyndon Johnson or whatever it was. I don't remember. But I felt that, they had done this war. I didn't know who this Kerry guy was. He seemed kind of like weak and spineless. He looked like every other politician, so I don't know. What it matter? We're in a war, you know? And it did I thinking back, it had the feeling like with Bush, it was like, well, at least he got us in a war with somebody. I mean, at the time, it's the American way. Somebody hits you in the face, you got to hit somebody back, you know? That's America, baby. So I remember that. Um, and it was around that time, I was 17. I was trying to differentiate myself from who I was around. I wasn't a little bit of my own history. I really like sports, but as I got older, I'm pretty short. I'm 5'7", so I wasn't gonna be uh you know I wasn't Spud Webb, so uh I needed to find an identity, and the identity I found as a teenager was certain things that I find really cringe now, and that's why watching this video is going to be difficult for me, but we're going to watch it. My identity was, well, as an English teacher now, it's interesting to think back, but it was, uh, I couldn't play sports necessarily as good as the people around me, but I could read more books than them. I could listen to better music than them. I could adopt, well, what politics do they hate where I live? Democrats. Maybe I should look into what the Democrats are all about. Typical hipster teenage kid trying to be different, trying to be smarter than everybody else around me. It was all from a place of total insecurity. I see that now, but at the time, you're just desperately trying to find a way to be okay with yourself. And so that's what I did. So I'm like 17. By 18, I was, listening to the Rolling Stones top 500 albums. I was reading 1984 in math class. I thought I really had it all figured out. Very full of myself. Uh, I've always been pretty humble. I mean, I just I can't stand people that are too self confident. It just gives me the willies. So I've always kind of questioned what I believe. Um, I do think though later on to do anything legitimate, you got to let God shine through you, and by giving God the credit, you can be as big as you want to be. I didn't think about that at the time either. I was going down the long dark tunnel of nihilistic liberalism. I was feeling like I was better and smarter than everyone around me, and it was giving me an identity. Um, so my family didn't have a lot of money growing up, and when college options came up, my mom just straight up told me, "You're going to College of the Ozarks. You have no choice about this." Um, and I love my mom. She was the sweetest, nicest lady in the world. There's only two things she ever told me I couldn't do. She said, you can't take out debt to go to a bachelor, to go to a state school if we can get you in here. And it was a work study school. If we can get you in here and you can earn a degree by working. And she wouldn't let me play football because she didn't want me to get CTE. Um, the second one, I thought my life was over, but that's how I learned to play one of these. And one of these. And she's probably right. I probably would have got my neck broke. But yeah, so we're going to C of O. Now, C of O is known for being incredibly conservative. They're on Fox News a lot. I could pull up some Fox News clips, but if you just type in Fox News C of O, you'll see a sea of white faces that looks like me, like a couple token black people, and it's talking about how great C of O is, the work study program at C of O. Hard Work U is their name. Hard Work U. They made you cut your hair off, which I was really proud of my hair. I had some cool surfer hair at the time. Blonde highlights. I look back and cringe at that now, but I always got a lot of compliments on my hair. People said I looked like Rod Stewart, which I didn't even know who that was, but my mom was very impressed. So they made me cut all that off when I got to College of the Ozarks, and I have been a rebel since I've been able to think. And so we had to do a skit at Character Camp. Character Camp is what it was called at C of O. I had to do a skit, and the dean had already came up and been like, Tyler, you're going to have to cut your hair. So I thought, cool, I will have you guys shave my head on stage in front of the whole school as a proverbial middle finger to what y'all are making me do. Now, why did they make boys cut their hair? I think the school runs on a giant endowment from conservative people when they pass away. And that was one of their stipulations. They sat around and they said, what kind of rules do we want to make up? And one of the rules was the boys have to have hair that is not below the top of their ear. That was one of the stipulations at College of the Ozarks. The other stipulation was if you got caught drinking, you were kicked out of school, even if you drank outside of school. If they saw a picture of you with a beer in your hand, you were kicked out of school. So, of course, there was no alcohol on campus. There were no co-ed dorms. Boys' dorms were about a mile from the girls' dorms. And if you one sex got caught in the other, you would be immediately kicked out of school. They locked your car up during the week. You had no access to your car. And I hated all this at the time. They would let you smoke cigarettes. You had to go to the designated smoking area. And so me and my rebellious friends, we smoked a lot of cigarettes. A lot of cigarettes. And man, we thought we were cool. I had one professor who would show us he showed us a film about Stalin. He made us read I think we read 1984, I can't remember, Zamyatin's We maybe. And he showed us a film called Stalin Curtain of Blood. And he would always tell me and my friend Jordan, he'd say, you comrades, I'll see you comrades out at the DSA. Which we were not comrades at the time. We were liberals. My friend Jordan voted for Ralph Nader in 2008. And I caught Obama fever at that time. It was the height of rebellion at College of the Ozarks to be a Democrat. This sounds hilarious now in 2022. Like pretty much everyone at a college is at least affiliated with the Democratic Party. I got a big taste of this when I went to grad school at the University of Missouri after C of O. But at the time you're going to watch this video, I was a student at C of O and I was president of the college Democrats. It was a way I could rebel. Uh, Intellectually. And I had a really cool history teacher. He was a liberal, but he approached me and said, "Hey, I think you'd be really good president for the college Democrats, and I think you should join." I only had one other friend that joined, who was a very proud atheist who was going to College of the Ozarks, um, and he was vice president. I think there was one other guy, but we never saw him. I ran for city council years later, and he sent me some. Doug, I think was his name. He sent me some. He sent me like $50 in the mail. A really sweet note about trying to change the world. So I appreciate that, Doug. But at the time, this is right before the 2008 election. What we're gonna watch, and this is me debating for Barack Obama. Okay. Now, if you guys stick around this channel and you hear me in the future, maybe I'll talk a little bit about what happened afterwards. Okay. But for right now, we're 20 minutes into the stream. I haven't even got to what I told you I was going to get to. So let's pull it up. I have always had what I like to think are revolutionary tendencies, because my old YouTube channel is called TMAC Revolutionary, and that's where this video resides. So let me find it. And this is going to be very cringe worthy for me, but I think it'll be useful because it's self-criticism. This is my 35-year-old self today critiquing my 20-year-old self. I am 20 years old in this video, in a debate in front of the whole school. The dean is there. They're glaring at me. And while much of this will be cringe, you need to understand the climate in which this debate took place for me. The dean was there, glaring at me on the front row. I had like my zoology and botany teacher there that would like say they believed in evolution but had to keep it hush hush and were privately rooting for me. And I was sort of a proxy. Like much of the faculty at this school were incredible. Looking back, even though I hated the rules, I'm really glad I couldn't drink my freshman year. I probably would have failed out of school. I was barely able to get through college with someone forcing me to do it sober. Partying was not on the agenda. You might go see some friends in a nearby town like on a weekend or something, but it was a big ordeal. You had to drive, 30 miles and you weren't surrounded by it. And looking back, I appreciate that. I hated it at the time, but now I think it was a great thing. So this is an hour long, and let's go through it. So I'm going to pull it up here. Um, let's figure out how I can present, share screen, window, right here, share. How did I make it big last time? Like that? Okay. Maybe do it like that. I'm trying to remember how I did it last time. I must have done it like this. I feel like I've forgot everything I learned about this software. Okay. How did I do that last time? Okay. We'll figure it out. Let's see if I can get some sound at least. First ever. Okay. I can't remember. Maybe I never did have it in like that. Let me double check real quick. Look at last week's. I thought I just made it big and then I know I did it certain parts. Here's the one I did last week. Okay, that one I just made totally big. Now that one's big, but with me in it. Now, how did I do that? Full screen. Okay. Let me see how it looks on here. Oh, there we go. That'll work. That shows me. Okay. We got to figure something out because that doesn't have any sound. So let me try to share it again. Let's see. Stop. We'll hit share screen. Some screens let you share audio. Share audio. Brave tab. Oh, there we go. If I do the tab, I think it'll let me share. Okay. Ah, there we go. That's what I did wrong. So let's try it from the top now that I can see it.
I wanted to welcome you to, I guess, what we were discussing just now, the first ever Republican Democratic debate. We had a one with Joe Kennedy and Alan Keyes a few years, but this is the first time we've actually had students who were Democrats to actually have a debate.
That's
so
true.
anyway, not a lot of them around over the years. Nevertheless, tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to give both sides an opportunity to talk about their issues and give out their message. Tonight, I just want to talk. First of all, I want to introduce our participants. Sitting over here on the far left is Ryan Noel, who is a sophomore. He is from Hollister, Missouri, and he is currently a conservation and wildlife management major, although he said he might be changing that at some point. Sitting next to him is Tyler McConnell, who is from Salem, Missouri. He is a junior and is currently a biology chemistry pre-med major. Okay. Over here on the right.
So this will be fuel for my haters here. Yes, I was pre-med. I'm just gonna make sure this is coming out okay. Let me make sure. Yeah, it sounds good. I think actually I got the audio pretty nailed. But yeah, I was pre-med and I guess you could be embarrassed that I'm not a doctor. But I don't personally think I really care about people, but it's not my bag. I'm supposed to like talk to people about politics and philosophy and I love teaching. I am a born high school English teacher. If I didn't do that, maybe a professor of some sort. If I didn't do that, I rather just work in a factory and read books and write pamphlets or do this. But being a doctor, I don't think I would have been a very good one. I did though. I was the only student at C of O that got their bachelor's of English. I had a bachelor's of science in English. No one else had that because I was one class away from a chemistry minor. I could not pass quantitative analysis. I barely passed organic chemistry, had the highest lab grade, but I would fail every test because I just couldn't. I didn't conceptually understand it. I was starting to get really interested in politics too, and it was affecting my studies. So um, that was this year. Um, while you're watching this debate, I probably should have been studying, but the Lord works in mysterious ways. So maybe watching me critique myself um, will help someone out there. So let's go through it here. All right.
And the far right, Casey Sykes, who is from Clinton, Arkansas, who is a senior philosophy religion major. And sitting next to her is Daniel Seitz, who is from Branson. He is a sophomore and he is a sociology major. Tonight's format is going to be as follows. We're going to have, in just a couple minutes, we're going to have some opening statements from the gentleman. Each side will get an opening statement. It was determined by a coin flip that the Democrats would go first. And then we're going to have questions from me. We're going to cover a variety of issues, 5 main issues, because we do hope to get this in approximately 55 minutes. And then we're going to have a question, a response, and then a rebuttal. So if I ask a question here, they will have 2 to 3 minutes to answer the question, then a response, then a rebuttal from that. And then finally, there will be a closing statement from each side. At this point, I'd like to ask you to turn off your cell phones if you happen to have a cell phone with you, so that we can go through
I don't
this.
think the iPhone had came
Since it's
out
the
yet.
Ozarks, you might want to holster your guns, etc.
Now he's joking, but not really. This is Branson, Missouri, and so I mean, I cringe at this now, but at the time, to me, this was a courageous act, especially where I was. Um, and you can see me like I'm shaking as I say this, as I talk. Um, but I'm being what I thought at the time, I still think, very courageous. I don't agree with my politics at that time, but I do take my hat off to that kid for being courageous and uh going up there, and I think I don't know. I respect the courage. So, let's critique this kid's points though. The 20-year-old me. All right? It's that Emerson quote: "Speak today's truth in harsh words, and speak to tomorrow's truth in harsh words, even though it contradict everything you said today." And that's how this is to me. Like, yes, I grew and learned. No, I don't agree with everything I did back then, but I got up and I spoke what I thought to be the truth as the best as I could understand it at the time, and that's what I'm doing today. So let's see what this kid had to say.
All right. At this point, I will ask for the opening statement to be given by the Democrats.
Hey there, guys. Welcome to the first and possibly only debate that will ever be held here at CMO. So, kind of like Professor Heap said, we're kind of in the Coliseum right now, or at least that's what we feel like. You guys are the spectators, and we're the gladiators getting ready to be torn apart by lions. But it's definitely an uphill battle tonight. I imagine probably 90% of you out there probably going to vote for McCain, and that's fine, just as long as you go out and vote, really. We're just here to present the fact that there is diversity on this campus, and not everyone belongs to that one single group. So, first of all, I'd just really like to thank Dr. Dalton of the College Democrats. He's our advisor for putting this together, and also Kurt McDonald, advisor of the College Republicans. So, if you guys would give them a hand, that'd be really. But I'll tell you guys a little bit about how I'm feeling about this whole election. Uh, I think personally that this election may be the most important one I will ever vote in.
I love it, dude. I am such a liberal in this video. I am. And so I can relate to them because I was you. I was you. And I was also a dyed in the wool conservative that hates communism. I was that before this. Um so I can put myself in that headspace, you know. If you're either one of those and you want to know how I am an unapologetic communist now, Marxist-Leninist, defender of Stalin, Mao, Che Guevara, Fidel Castro, ask me. I'll try to explain it.
In. And I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited about the outcome. Hopefully it'll go our way, but whatever happens. But this is something you all can be a part of. And I personally feel like here in 2008 that we have a chance to elect a real, compassionate intellectual who epitomizes the American dream. He wasn't born with a silver spoon in his mouth. Barack Obama has worked for absolutely everything he has, sheerly by academic performance, pretty much. This is a chance for us to fix the last 8 years, which have tarnished our reputation around the world. The Economist has a worldwide poll of who they would like to see win the next election, and upwards of 95% of the world's inhabitants outside of America would vote for Barack Obama if they had the chance. Now, I think that says a lot about where we are right now. Our country's more divided, but that's just something to think about. So this is also a chance to show the world that we're an open-minded country with a tolerance for those different than ourselves. Do you have anything you wanted to say, Noel?
Like he said, it's an important election. It's good for you all to get out there and vote. Like he said, again, 8 years of economic failure, wars, and I'm running out of time, so I'm just going to leave it at that.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
So, what can I glean from that? Well, I was impressed by it seemed like Obama had worked for what he had. He had made really good grades, and McCain to me at the time just seemed like, well, his dad was an admiral. I talk about that later on. And in my 20-year-old mind, I just thought one guy's actually worked for what he has. He seems to be brilliant. He's against the war. You know, let's help him win. Let's give him a chance. And later on, when he actually did what he did, that's why it so infuriated me, because you stabbed this little idealistic kid in the back, Barack Obama. You did. I mean, you were the cool black guy, right? And we were all going to support you. And then you immediately sold us out to Wall Street. You weren't dead Prez. You weren't Malcolm X.
From the Republican side.
Like Tyler McConnell, I'd like to thank Kurt McDonald and Professor Dalton and Gary Heaps for being the moderator. But I would like to hit on some things that Tyler McConnell said. The Republicans have always supported the people. Because we had a president named Abraham Lincoln who was quoted as saying, "For the people, by the people, and of the people." He understood that our government is a representative republic and that it is not a socialist country. And Obama's plan to tax the 5% of Americans is socialism, because he's giving handouts to 40% of Americans that don't even work.
There we go. And so it begins. Obama is a socialist. What is socialism? It's giving stuff to lazy people.
That is not Robin Hood-ish at all. Because Robin Hood took from a government that was oppressing its people by taxes, not people that hired people. Also, since we know who has elected us and we work for those people, we understand the Christian values that shaped this country. That's why we oppose abortion and gay marriage. And we are for smaller government as well. And we believe that the states should have the final say in anything that is not mentioned in the Constitution.
Let me mention something real quick, just in I guess kind of a pre-rebuttal to my opponent. Barack Obama's tax plan is a punishment to those of us who want to achieve the American dream. I'm going to law school after this, and I'd love to make over $250,000 a year. It'd be great. But if you go with Barack Obama's tax plan, that's going to put you in the next bracket. And you're being punished for achieving that American dream. So let's talk about Obama being the candidate for the American dream. He's the candidate that wants to tell you, achieve your dreams, but don't aim too big, because that's wrong. You don't want to be too rich, because then you're against the poor. So we need to really examine these things and definitely see, who really sponsors the American dream, who really wants the American dream. And as we'll find out tonight in this debate, it is not Barack Obama.
All right.
Okay. I just, looking back at this, I realized just how amazingly confused Americans are. I mean, I was confused. We just have no idea what we're talking about. And we're both talking past each other. And the most courageous people in our whole school in this area are up on that stage talking past each other. Like, it really kind of sums up Republicans and Democrats still at this point. Everyone in that school should be on the same side. Everybody's there is poor enough to qualify for a work-study program, and yet we're having this debate. So let's keep going.
All right, thank you. Tonight's format is going to include questions on 5 main issues: the economy, foreign policy, cultural issues, the energy and environmental issues, and then finally healthcare. These questions are necessarily broad because of our time constraints. But I will begin with the question about our economy. And this begins, the Republicans get the first crack at this. In 2001 and 2003, tax cuts amounting to nearly $2 trillion were enacted. Recently, President Bush and Secretary of the Treasury Paulson have indicated that another stimulus package might be necessary to help our economy recover. Should the Bush tax cuts be made permanent? If so, why? If not, why not? And is this the best way to stimulate the economy? So, the Republicans, we go.
First, I'd like to quote the Wall Street Journal. The title of the article, which was wrote on July 21st, 2008, says, the title of it is called Their Fair Share. And it says that Washington is teeing up the rich for a big tax hike next year as a way to make them pay their fair share. Well, the latest IRS data have arrived on who paid what share of income taxes in 2006, and it's going to be hard for the rich to pay any more than they already do. The data show that the 2003 Bush tax cuts caused what may be the biggest increase in tax payments by the rich in American history. And the most amazing part of this story is the leap in the number of Americans who declared adjusted gross income of more than 1 million from 2003 to 2006. The ranks of US millionaires nearly doubled to 354,000 from 181,000 in a mere 3 years after the tax cuts. So, as Republicans, we support tax cuts, and we think the Bush tax cuts shouldn't be made permanent because we have a long-standing history of lowering taxes, and it has proved to be better for the economy. For example, Ronald Reagan made a 3% tax cut across the board, and he even continued this after the stock market crashed in 1987. He didn't offer a bailout, so we are against the bailout as well. And the stock market rebounded 2 months later because of Reagan's tax cuts. And we have seen the biggest boom in our economic history ever because of those tax cuts.
All right. We now have 2 to 3 minutes on the Democratic side to answer the same initial question.
All right. Well, we're starting to take the gloves off. I was hoping we'd do that. As far as McCain being for the American dream, well, he was born into the American dream. His father was an admiral. His grandfather was an admiral. And that's admirable that they were admirals. But not to make light, service to our country is a great thing. But he was born into a very affluent household with lots and lots of money. Barack Obama was not. Everything he has right now, he has worked for and got himself. He graduated #1 from Harvard Law.
So, looking at my former self, I'm being very motivated by privilege here. Inherited wealth that I feel was unjustly passed down from one generation to another. And a big reason Obama appealed to me was because he did seem to have risen in a legit meritocracy. At least that's how I saw it at the time. So the seeds of what I am now, I can see fledgling here.
Harvard Law, and he was the first African American ever elected to the Harvard Law Review. He has about $1 million in the bank account and owns 1 house. John McCain owns 7 houses. In the words of Chris Rock, I'm going to vote for the guy that if he lost his house in the economy, he would be homeless. John McCain could lose 4 homes and still have about 3 or 4 left. So, as far as the Bush tax cuts, giving more money to someone, I'm not sure. What happened was Clinton had raised the tax code up a little bit above 40%, and Bush has lowered it to 34%. So what has happened is, I don't know how the rich would lose money by their tax rate being lowered by 6%, but somehow I guess they did. Bush lowered it to 34%. Obama's plan is to raise it back up to 39%, which actually was the rate that the Republican hero Ronald Reagan had the tax rate set at in the 80s. So the richest 5% of the population have pocketed almost half their income under the Bush tax cuts, and the other 95% of Americans have seen their income stagnate or drop significantly. The average CEO is paid 300 times the typical worker's pay. And here's kind of just a cool example for you guys. I thought this was cool. If you took the average income in America and juxtaposed it to average height, the average height of a person would be about 7 foot. The smallest person in America would be 16 inches tall, and the richest person would be 570 feet tall. Now, I don't know if you guys think that's particularly fair or not, but that doesn't really seem like taking care of the poor, which was a tenet of any decent human being. If you are 570 feet tall, you can stand to lose a couple 250 feet and still be about 200 foot taller than anybody else in America. So
Thank you. And
So yeah, I'm being very driven by economics, economic issues. I didn't know how to articulate it really. I just knew the disparity was grotesque. A critique of that to me at the time, I would focus less on the income disparity and more just on the way that wealth is allocated in the first place based upon the cliche Marxist definition of who owns the means of production. Means of production, I don't think makes much sense to everyday people, but who owns the land? The property question, which is innately what I was understanding with McCain. He had inherited property passed down, and that just didn't set right with my 20-year-old head. I thought it was grotesque, the wealth disparity, but now I would critique that with the issue is more if we're all human beings, aren't we all? One of the best examples I've ever heard of it is from Thomas Paine. If God did create the earth, did he create it for Bill Gates to have 300,000 acres of Missouri or U.S. farmland? Or was it created for everyone? That's something no human being created. No human being created the earth. So it would make sense that everybody should own a little piece of it. But yeah, I'm being driven by economic concerns. Today I would focus less on the disparity and more on property relations themselves. And the means through which the wealth is distributed in the first place. Mic might be a bit low, says Bismuth. I can crank it, but I was checking it out, and well, let me open up my console, Bismuth, and see what I can do here. It does look very low in this. This preamp is. What if I put it over here? Maybe low. How about that? Is that better, Bismuth? Can you hear me better now? I need to listen to my stream and see if that's blowing out. Let's try it. No, that sounds pretty good. It sounds pretty good. Yeah, I do too, buddy. But that's the preamp level is what I fiddled with there. I flipped it from mid-range to low. I see. I think I was I think I get it now. I don't know if this will make any difference. Can you guys still hear me okay? Does that sound better now? Okay, cool. So I turned my monitor down, so hopefully I don't get any feedback. I'm a little tired tonight, guys. I apologize. My brain is just it's fuzzing out a bit, but let's keep going.
I have one minute for rebuttal.
Let me start with talking about Barack Obama's one home that was helped. The finance came from a known Chicago mobster named Tony Rezko. Okay, Now, that's the first of Obama's shady dealings with people like that we'll deal with.
No, I thought this was ridiculous at the time. Now I think I'm going to agree with this kid. Video sound is too low. I don't know how to up that, Bismuth. It's turned all the way up, man. I'm going to listen on here just to see.
But his one home was financed by a mobster. Also, let's look at 3 years ago when the Dow was up at record heights, gas prices were down, and the economy was doing better. The past 2 years, we've had a Democratic Congress, and it doesn't look like they've helped us much.
Okay, they also get a 1 minute now.
I think it's just the
as
the
my
deal
friend
is,
said earlier.
Bismuth. It's ripped off a DVD that was taken like on a handheld camera. So it's the best I can do without going into the video and re-editing it to boost the levels and stuff. I just put the raw video up on YouTube, and this is what we got. So we're gonna have to make the best we can out of it. I do appreciate you mentioning my microphone though, because I had my compressor. I'm still learning this thing, and I had the compressor off. Now it's on low, and that's on high, which should sound, I don't know if that sounds better or worse. Monitor. I don't know. You have to tell me if high sounds better or if low sounds better. I'm going to leave it on low for right now. Yeah, I'm doing the best I can, man, with this video. We just got to do the best we can.
Earlier about the socialism, I have to go back then. I'm sorry. If Barack Obama is a socialist, would that not make Ronald Reagan a socialist, who came up with the earned income tax credit? That was after the second recession of his presidency that he decided to tax the top bracket 39%. And I'm just trying to, I'm not seeing where you're going with calling him a socialist, but Reagan's still a hero.
This was a good quote I heard from Barack. He said, "If I'm a socialist, why would the richest man in America, Warren Buffett, endorse my campaign?"
That's a great point. That's a great point. I'm a socialist now. I just cut all the BS, call myself a communist because people think you hide that's what you are. I'm not hiding it. I'm a Marxist-Leninist communist. That's what the video says. But this is, I don't, watching this video to me is kind of, it's just boring. Like, this is me 15 years ago, and I'm bored. I'm bored with these arguments. I'm bored with listening to it. I learned nothing from this. But I thought it might be of some benefit because everyone still talks this way. Everyone still talks this way. I had some guy making comments on some video I made about like this guy's a closet communist. He shouldn't be teaching our children. Communism's never worked anywhere it's been tried. Communism killed 100 billion bazillion people. I know you all say this. I just don't. I don't know if I have the patience for it anymore. I just don't care. Like, but I have to, because if you're gonna relate to everyday people, you got to, but this is really, I don't know if this is for everyday people. I think this is more for those of us that are already on board. It's critiquing me before anybody else finds this and brings it up as like I'm some sort of secret Democratic agent or whatever. My growth in this has been organic. So let's learn more about how Obama was a socialist. I did say after Obama was elected, I would always go through the McDonald's and they'd be like, "That's $6," and I'd be like, "What do you mean? Obama's elected? I thought everything was free." And I thought that was a really funny joke. Warren Buffett socialism for the win. Yeah, I'm sure there is an OBS. Bismuth, there's a way to fix it. I need to just try OBS. I've got my toe in the baby pool here of StreamYard, and StreamYard, you just get what you get. The way they show it is it's like you're lucky to have an ability to share audio at all. So I'm gonna up my game, but I'm 1 hour into this one, so we'll push through.
If he's going to give away all my money, that really doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and I think it really puts it in perspective. But the big idea is you guys are going to be the middle class when you graduate. You're not going to graduate making over 250 grand a year unless you're really, really good at something. I don't know. I'm not going to be that good at anything, but you guys need to keep that in mind because he will be the president when you graduate.
All right, thank you.
I shouldn't
Our
have said that.
second question
I should have
deals
said I
with
was going to make $1
foreign
bazillion.
policy, and again, it is a necessarily broad question. Until 9/11, most Americans had never heard of Osama bin Laden or the Al Qaeda network. Today, most Americans seem a little preoccupied with issues other than another terrorist attack. What should be the next president's policy to deal with global threats such as bin Laden, Iran, and nuclear weapons in the hands of rogue states? And this one goes to the Democrats first.
Okay, since we came off economy, I feel it's good to start foreign policy with economy and look at our national debt, which is, I believe, trillions of dollars, $10 trillion. Iraq, who we are supporting with $10 billion a month, is in a surplus right now, which seems a little odd that we're still paying for everything that they need. Iraq, you said violence levels have gone down. Yeah, they have, and there was no point in being there. We invited the terrorists there. Not to say we invited them, like personally sent them invitation, but don't take it like that. I mean, when we came in there, people get angry. You can't just imagine if we were that country, and someone said, "We don't like your leader. We're going to take him out." You're going to be angry. You're going to fight back. So that's what I mean by that. Sorry, I didn't mean to throw any loose words there. But so yes, and Barack Obama actually does support sending more troops to Afghanistan and withdrawing from Iraq in 16 months. That's a
You bet he did. You bet he supported it. I don't know what we were trying to do. I mean, that's the thing. Since I've been in a debate or two, I know it's not actually about finding the truth. I've heard someone say that's what the dialectic is about. You write a whole book, then I'll write a whole book, then you write a whole book, and I'll write a whole book, and slowly we'll move towards the truth. Debate is just about winning over a crowd. That's all it's about.
pretty good amount of time with violence levels going down, like you said. That's a pretty good amount of time. I think Tyler wants to throw something in.
I'll throw something in there. Let's see. The guy that knew the most about the Army, a general, Colin Powell, you guys might have heard of him, but he kind of endorsed Barack Obama last weekend, and he personally told George Bush, he said in
I say this
press
like it's a
conferences
good
he gave,
thing.
he tried to talk the president out of going to war in Iraq for about 2.5 hours, but it wasn't any use. And I could talk for an hour tonight about what's happened in Iraq and how it's not exactly what we had hoped for. But with the economy the way it is, to lead in from the next question, do we really need to spend $10 billion a month in Iraq, a government that's asking for us to leave?
Just wait till you see the Ukraine, baby. Just wait, little Tyler, little 20-year-old Tyler. All that'll be over by the time you're 35.
And give them power in their own country and maybe concentrate our forces in another region of the world, Afghanistan, which houses the terrorists that actually attacked us on 9/11. It makes sense to me. I don't know, maybe I'm just really off there, but if someone attacked me, I would go after that person, not just someone else that had nothing to do with that. So, maybe my logic's flawed, but it lets me sleep at night. Let's see, what else?
You got to meet
Got anything
Victoria
to add?
Newland's
Think
husband.
at all?
He's got
What else
different
we got on that
ideas.
sheet? Oh, 15 seconds, so I'll try to get this in. I think it shows McCain's character that he picked Sarah Palin, a candidate who, well, you guys can just judge by yourself. Check out those Katie Couric interviews. But Obama selected Joe Biden, a candidate with vast amounts of foreign experience.
This is just painful to me. Like, it pains me to watch this. I'm watching it as a sort of purging process. Mostly just to let people know I used to think like this. I'm bringing up Katie Couric. Says Katie Couric made Sarah Palin look stupid. I mean, how many journalists do we see make? I mean, that's all they do now is try to be haughty and condescending. And I don't know. When I was 20 years old, I would bring that up. You can tell the moderator is peeved by my smart aleck little liberalism. And I don't blame you, dude. I am too. I get it.
I should point out that the question didn't say anything about violence going down in Iraq. Just to let you know, but I'm sure the Republicans will bring that up. So you have.
All right. Well, the first thing I want to address is how my opponent so eloquently said we invited terrorists into Iraq. So if we invited terrorists into Iraq, what's Barack Obama doing? Is he going to sit down to tea with them? Because he said that he wants to have open discussions without prerequisites with Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, the leader of Iran. Iran is a known state that harbors terrorists. We know it. And he wants to sit down and talk to them without putting any precursors on them. Now that's called inviting terrorists. And that's inviting terrorists into our backyard.
So I had a professor that came up to me afterwards and he's like, you should have brought up Iran Contra right there. Because I think here in a second, he's like, we do not negotiate with terrorists ever. He's like, you should have brought up Iran Contra, but I didn't know. I've learned a lot in the past 15 years. I didn't know. Okay.
All right, let's talk about a foreign policy plan though to try and deal with the question that was actually asked. How are we going to deal with terror over the next 4 years?
Patriot Act.
Well, there's 6 steps to doing that. First, the best defense is a good offense. Keep the war over there. Because I don't know about you, but I don't want to have to be fending terrorists off on my back porch. So let's keep the terrorists in their holes and make them hide from us. Have that offense that we've got right now so they're not coming over here because we haven't been attacked. All right, number 2, use all the tools at your disposal. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't put all your stock in one resource. Use those troops that we have over there. Use everything we can to get the job done instead of just focusing on one point. Go to the source. You know, guys, we can shoot at guys wearing turbans and holding AK-47s in Afghanistan all day long. But if we're not going to the source, these havens for terrorists, if we're not telling them what to do, we're going to have an extreme problem. We took North Korea off the list of states that sponsor terrorism because we didn't want them to have nukes. You think that's going to stop a terrorist from making nukes just because we take them off of some piece of paper? You know, we got to make them know that we're not going to take this lightly. Number 4, remember we have friends in every country. And I'm sure that in the rebuttal, they're going to say that all the other countries hate us. But we still have allies. And those allies are the people who want to be free from tyrannical rule. I guarantee you the North Korean citizens don't like the fact that they're being oppressed.
Based North
let's see,
Korea.
Number 5, do the job even if our allies lose the nerve. Just because someone else wants to say, whoa, let's back up and not do that. If it's going to protect the United States, that's what we need to be worried about, not anything else. Number 6, and finally, psychological combat is just as important as physical. We need to make them scared, and they need to know not to mess with us.
We need to make them scared. And they need to know not to mess with us. Now, I wish this was an old way of thinking. But what did Zelensky say the other day? We should go ahead and nuke Russia so they know not to mess with it. I mean, this hasn't changed. It hasn't changed at all. Thank God we're almost halfway done. Let's see how cringe this is.
Oh, 1 minute. All right. I got some good stuff for you.
I hate my sarcasm. It seemed cool at the time. Now this seems, watching this back, I think it's taught me a lesson that as much as possible, I'm going to always try to choose earnesty. Earnesty. I love that, Mega Ape. Amen. Preach. Yeah, that would do it. Education. Hope. Real hope, not satanic fake hope like Obama was promising this idealistic 20-year-old.
For you guys. Let's see here. The terrorists on our back porch. Well, they must be just over the horizon because I can't see them yet. I think we don't need another cowboy president that's going to march into Iraq, pull out a 6-shooter, and just blow everybody to smithereens. I think we might actually want a leader that will sit down and talk to someone, use diplomacy, which is a very powerful tool. We shouldn't take terrorism lightly. Well, I don't think the best way is to invade a sovereign country against the UN when every single country in the UN's like, just give us 3 months, 6 months. We'll find out if there's weapons of mass destruction or not, then we'll go in. Well, there were no weapons of mass destruction, so what are we still doing over there? We've just dug ourselves a hole, and we got to get out.
No, that I completely agree with what I said there. I completely agree with that. I don't think Obama is was the solution. And Mega Ape, if you're just tuning in, thank you, brother. I appreciate that. If you're just tuning in, this is me going over my debate in 2008 when I was a Democrat, and I am repping Barack Obama here. We're trying to learn. We're trying to do a little self-critique. But anyway, I agree with that. Where's those weapons of mass destruction at?
And as far as scaring people, well, let's just make a laundry list of countries to invade. Let's put North Korea on the list. Let's put Iran on the list. Let's put, insert your favorite country you want to. Let's invade China. 50 years of attacks against civil liberties. Let's invade China.
All right.
Now, that comment, my professor, who was the sponsor for the College Democrats, had told me that before when we were talking about Iraq. He had said, well, what about China? China had 50 years of attacks on civil liberties. Let's invade China. And I was like, oh, that's a good one. Because we're never going to invade China. Even in 2008, it was like an insane idea. It's funny how now they're like ratcheting. They're pretending that'll happen. That won't ever happen. They just nuke. And then they'd nuke us, and that'd be the end of it. But that's one of the most cringe moments in this is I'm just repeating something someone else told me like an hour before. And I thought it was really smart. And later on, I started listening to Caleb and listening to Haas and reading a lot of books. And I realized China's actually shows some of the only hope that humanity has moving forward. We need that with American characteristics.
All right. Well, my opponent said that he can't see the terrorists yet because they must just be over the horizon. Well, if we elect Barack Obama, obviously a new day is dawning. So the sun's about to come up and you're going to see him.
100%
We
mega
don't
A.
negotiate with terrorists.
Amen.
You don't give in to a terrorist's demands. Just like a policeman doesn't put his gun down in a situation in the field.
Amen,
we will
brother.
not negotiate
Faith
with
and
terrorist
gratitude.
states. We're the United States of America, and we're still here because we don't do that.
So I mean, Iran Contra. I wish I had brought that. I didn't know. This was 15 years ago. In a lot of ways, I feel like I'm not any older than I was then. Like I look the same, kind of. You know, reality seems the same. There's really like before puberty and after puberty. That's really the only difference in a lot of consciousness. But I don't know. I've read a lot more. I've heard a lot more. I didn't know. This is why you got to read. You got to read philosophy. You got to read history.
As far as waiting on the UN to tell us what to do, I'm not going to wait on any conglomeration of countries to tell me how best to defend my country. We know what's best for us, and that's what we need to do, is what's best for us. Now, not saying we need to go crazy and be evil and take over the world, but if someone is going to attack us, we need to take the necessary precautions so they don't do that.
Our third question.
That just seems funny now that I know about 9/11. Like, we actively did the opposite of that on purpose. Where's my tinfoil hat?
Cultural issues, and it is this. The most pressing domestic issues seem to right now be the economy.
This was
but some
2008.
Americans will cast their vote depending on a candidate's stance on cultural issues such as abortion, same-sex marriage, and gun control. What should be the federal government's position on these issues? And the Republicans.
All right, guys, by luck of the draw, I guess you get to hear me again for another 3 minutes. Sorry about that. Let's talk about abortion real quick. In the United States, we have 1.3 million abortions per year. We break that down to per day, it's 3,700 a day. Let's let that sink in. 1.3 million a year and 3,700 a day.
So I thought this was cringe at the time. Now I agree more with him. I think, you know, what's that old quote? When you're young, if you're not liberal, you don't have a heart. And when you're old, if you're not conservative, you don't have a brain. For me, that might relate culturally for me. Like at this point, like if I saw someone being bullied for being gay, I would go straight up and be like, listen, mother, leave him alone. But I'm not going to go to a gay pride parade, and I'm not going to plan one for my town. So that's where I'm at. In the privacy of your own home, do whatever you want. But I don't feel like it should be. I cringe when straight people kiss in public. I really do. I go get a groom, man. I don't want to look at that. So culturally, I think that is the ticket, though. Haas is really nailing that. And I had felt it deep in my veins because I'm starting to come back more to my conservative cultural roots. But economically, if there is such a thing as the left, I'm left the mile at this point. You know what I mean? Like, as Bill Hicks said, I'm way over there. And that's the golden ticket. They know that's the ticket. They know that if they can, hey, landless peasant, would you like your own little bit of farmland? Hey, black person, would you like your 40 acres and a mule? We're going to take it out of Bill Gates' ass. Would you like it? Yeah. But if they're also like, and we're gonna try to make your children gay, no. Most Americans are not gonna go for that. They don't have a problem with it, but it's a personal thing. Keep it in your, that was the thing with like Black Lives Matter. Kanye is exploding that. You just wear a White Lives Matter shirt. And the kid, I'm a high school teacher. The kids instinctively understand it. You want a gay club? Let's have a straight club. Oh no, that's racist. That's homophobic. No, it's not. Are we gonna treat everybody the same or are we not? Now that's the conservative dimension. I've came back to that. But economically, we need to plan this out. You can still have markets for your Xbox and your Nikes, but the base is what we need to keep anybody from living under the bridge. We can do that. If we can build an SM7B microphone and live stream instantly, surely we can keep people from living under the bridge. Surely.
We're killing those kids. They don't even have a chance.
But focusing on abortion ain't ever going to bring the American masses to that. They're never economically, if you focus on the economics, the Marxist economics, with a conservative cultural leaning, you're going to get 99% of the people, because that is 99% of the people. But they know that will work, and so they have to call that fascism. They have to say you're a racist, you're a fascist, you're a whatever, because that's what's going to work. But hashtag MAGA communism, we got their number. Got their number.
Because we take them out before they can even see what they're worth. Only 1% of those abortions is because of rape. Only 6% is because of health issues. And 93% are because of social reasons, because they don't want to look fat and they don't want their friends to look down on them.
No, I don't. I thought that was a ridiculous statement at the time. I still do think that's a ridiculous statement. I don't think most women are having abortions because they don't want to look fat. Yes, we do. Absolutely. I agree with that. Totally. I don't think women are getting abortions because they want to look fat. I remember what I said here, and of all my answers, I kind of stick by this one. So let's get through it.
It's estimated that 43% of all women will have an abortion before the age of 45. 43% of all women, and this is a worldwide estimation, will have an abortion, will kill a child before the age of 45.
It's a rite of passage.
And so let's go back to rape. Let's go back to that 1%.
Sarcasm.
Rape is wrong. Never am I going to say that rape is a woman's fault, ever. But should this child, this innocent baby, should that suffer for the sins of a father?
I do love that he took it all the way.
So because the father is a deadbeat, because the father is a criminal,
I respect
we're
that.
going to kill the baby. It's their fault. It's inconvenient for us to have something in our bodies. As one C of O, and I'm going to, you know what, I've got these cards and I'm going to forget about it. I was talking to a C of O student a couple weeks ago, and she said the worst thing that I've ever heard anyone say in my entire life. She said, if a baby gets in here, I'm going to murder it. I'm going to kill it if it gets in my body. It's not staying in there. Are you kidding me? Guys, think about where we're going to school. We're at a Christian college. I guarantee you that Jesus doesn't support abortion. I guarantee you that he wants to give those babies a chance to live. And as Christians, we need to support that views too. So how can you say that you support a candidate who supports views that go absolutely against the religion that you claim to be. It doesn't make any sense. Guys, gay marriage is morally wrong. It's in the Bible. God's opposed to it. He says homosexuality is an abomination, and he has a place, and I'm just going to be blunt, he has a place in hell reserved for that. That's a sin. Do not condone it. Okay, guys? Go with what your Bible says. Let's
Night
see what Jesus
business.
has to say about these topics.
I get it, brother.
Thank you.
Gentlemen. Hey. So I guess if you guys see someone that's gay on the street or you have any gay friends, be sure to tell them they're going to hell tonight. I think that'll really make them feel great. I'm sure Jesus would have done the same.
No, I stand by that. I stand by that. I don't know. I feel that the future state that we need to have in America should definitely be informed by Christianity. But I don't think it should be a theocracy. And I don't know. I'm still figuring out exactly how I feel about some issues. I don't have an issue with this, really. But I don't think Jesus would go around being hateful to people. I don't think that's how it would work. These are personal issues. I don't think they should be in your face, but the state should be neutral in these issues. That's how I feel.
But this is a quote from Mr. Sykes over here in the paper. If we read our Bibles, we'll see that the liberal views are not something Jesus condones, and we shouldn't either. Well, if you read Matthew 25, you might see a few liberal views that Jesus had. I'll start out.
So I call these liberal views. Looking back, I'd call them communist views. I didn't know. I was like many Americans at the time. I conflated the two.
With the first, he was talking about the sheep that will get to enter the kingdom of heaven. He said, the people that will get to enter, this is why. Because I was hungry and you fed me.
I was thirsty and you gave me a drink.
I was homeless and you gave me a room.
I was shivering and you gave me clothes.
I was sick and you stopped to visit.
I was in prison and you came to me.
Now those are some pretty liberal democratic issues, and those are Jesus's
No, they're
own
not,
words.
Tyler.
So abortion, I think it
They're not
definitely
Republican,
deserves a
but they're
seat at the table in your mind
not
when you're going to
Democrat.
vote on November 4th, but I don't think it deserves every chair. I'm personally totally against abortion, but just because you're not pro-life doesn't mean you're pro-death. I'm not pro-abortion. I don't go around strangling toddlers or anything like that. We just believe that it shouldn't be the government's right. It's not the government's place.
Amen.
You can't anticipate every single circumstance that will rise up. Sarah Palin said she's against abortion even if father rapes her 14-year-old daughter. Now, I think that's that girl's decision. That's going to affect her life, definitely. And the fact that a government will come out and say, you do not have that decision. I think that is, in the words of Obama, it's best left up to that individual to consult with their priest, their pastor, their spouse, their family members, and make that difficult decision themselves. Because no one is pro-abortion. And as far as the social issues, it's not people aren't having abortions because, oh, well, what will my friends think of me? Maybe some are, but not all. The social issues is because people are probably too poor to take care of a child. So if you really want to stop abortion,
Good night, Meg 8.
we have to end poverty, and we have to do absolutely everything we can to do that.
There you go. I'm bringing up the property question, the economic side. How are we going to end abortion in America? End poverty. What Kanye say in his interview the other day? Half of all black people killed in the United States are abortions. I don't know the exact statistic, but I would say it's high. And are they having those abortions because they don't want to look fat? I don't think so. I think it's a poverty issue. So I still stand by that one. Let's eliminate poverty, just like the Chinese have. And then we can revisit the abortion issue once poverty is over with. I would like to do this as a social experiment. My hypothesis is once poverty is eliminated, abortion won't be nearly as much of an issue.
And that's a democratic ideal more so than a Republican ideal. And also, to add to that, if we do outlaw abortion, I think we'll go back to the 1920s where we had back alley abortions, where women were having abortions with whatever they could find: coat hangers, knitting needles, broken beer bottles, you name it. Abortion will never go away. We've outlawed drugs and people still do drugs. If we outlaw abortion, people will still have abortions. It just won't be sanitary and it won't be safe.
That was probably my best answer, honestly. And I do think that's true. I do think that's true. Like here in Missouri, it looks like recreational marijuana is going to be on the next ballot. And as I get older, I feel culturally I'm getting more conservative. I have children now. I don't really like the idea of recreational marijuana. I don't think marijuana really helps anybody that doesn't need it for some very specific medical purpose. And I think a lot of the medical purposes are a joke. I don't think alcohol is good. But do I think going to prison for marijuana is good? No, I don't. I really don't. I really don't think that's going to help anybody. You know, just like I don't think back alley abortions, it's not a how bad do you want it kind of a situation. But it should not be promoted. This should not be like the top story on the nightly news for months on end. Just like marijuana legalization should not be the top story on the news for months on end. Good night, Bismuth. Hope you read some good books. And good night. God bless you, Mega Ape. See you next time, my friend. You love the emoticons as much as me. They're fun. I use them a lot. So glad you guys stopped by. All right, let's keep going here. Let's hear the response.
So I guess if you're just too poor and you've got kids, then kill them because you don't have the money to feed them. That's what I'm hearing. I'm too poor to have this baby. I can't feed it. So I'm just going to get rid of it. Let me hit on a couple of laws.
I'm not saying it's right, but that is what happens.
California. A lady was pregnant and she was taking drugs and they charged her with child abuse. Well, she went out and had an abortion and they dropped the charges. So you're abusing your child if you're taking drugs and you're pregnant, but you can kill it and it's okay. The Lacey Peterson law protects pregnant women. If you kill a pregnant woman, then you get charged with a double murder if the baby dies too. But if you just kill the baby, it's an abortion. It's all right. Back to the economy, you're killing your tax base. You know, if we hadn't caused all those abortions in the 70s and 80s right now, maybe our economy wouldn't be in a recession.
I don't know what I think about
Since
that
we
one.
didn't touch on same-sex marriage in the last one, I thought
Couldn't
I'd
hurt.
like to throw out this statistic. A 2004 congressional budget study found 1,138 statutory provisions that require a marital status for the rights or benefits. And we're supposed to tell thousands and thousands of Americans that, hey, just because you're different, you can't have these 1,138 rights. Let me Joe Biden that. 1,138 rights.
Joe Biden.
That's a lot of rights. Also, I mean, the Bible is a great thing. Do not get me wrong. But we cannot base laws in America off of a religious document. I think in the Constitution, it says we have the freedom to worship any God we want. Doing that would infringe upon other beliefs, and that's not right.
That's a theocracy. Iran has a theocracy.
Another cringe moment. Another cringe moment. I feel like I should go take a shower. I know nothing about Iran. I still know almost nothing about Iran. Almost nothing. And I'm just an American taking a pot shot in a debate because I know my opponents hate Iran. I mean, any Iranians watching this, I sincerely. Enough time has passed. I apologize for my ignorance. I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to better myself. You guys did it. If it took a theocracy for you to get out of the boot of Western imperialism, good on you. That's progress in my book.
Our next area deals with energy and the environment. Just about everybody agrees that we should lessen our dependence on foreign oil, but we disagree on what should be done to accomplish that. Should the federal government ease restrictions to offshore oil exploration, including in the Anwar Reserve? Or should we encourage the development of alternative sources such as wind, solar, and nuclear power? And what role should conservation of reserves play? And this one goes to the Democrats first.
All right, guys, this is my bread and butter. As a science major, I think this is more important than probably any other issue, including the economy, at least to myself.
So this is me 15 years ago. I'm fully going to push the green fascist agenda here. I'm older now and I'm wiser, but I know what it's like to have my headspace here. I know what it's like. Hope no one from the Schiller Institute sees what I'm about to say. But I'm trying to think of my friend's name. It's slipping my mind. Daniel Burke. Sweetest, smartest guy I know. One of them. I hope to have Daniel on this channel so he can educate me about LaRouche. And maybe I might even pull this clip up and show you, Daniel, just so you can see where I was at the time. I just thought the technology was cool. I thought the idea, if you could really do it the way they said you could, just everybody gets a solar panel on their house or whatever. If it really worked, that'd be cool. It'd be cool. I like the idea of self-sufficiency. To me, it was like, I can get off the grid. They can leave me alone. I can take care of my family. But it's a bill of goods. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And I'm pretty sure China and Russia know that climate change is a hoax. I can see in the future that'll be a new YouTube guideline strike there. So go ahead, go back, calm, find this video. It just seems obvious to me. It's a part of a Malthusian plan to reduce the population, to make us live less good lives, worse lives, because we need to save the planet. We're gonna kill you to save the planet. But right here, I'm gonna
We have
give
to
the
end our
line.
dependence on foreign oil, or all our children How much will they pay for a gallon of gas? $50?
Maybe this winter.
It's going to be ridiculous. So in our current energy crisis, we have to play every card that's on the table. But a few are riskier than others. The leading scientific institutions in our nation say that global warming is real and we have to do something to stop it. Those scientific institutions include NASA and the National Institute of Health. Now, I don't know if you guys think the scientists at NASA are very smart, but I imagine they're probably not basing this off a dice game that they played. They probably
Oh, the appeal to authority. The appeal to authority. On the other side of the pandemic, this just smacks really gross. I don't know if you think the scientists at NASA are influenced and bought off by the Rockefeller Foundation or not, but that would be more what I would sound like today. What's our line to get our check written? I remember I had a chemistry professor. I was like, well, why would they make up global warming? And he goes, well, this guy's got a PhD. He goes, well, we get paid from the government. If that's what they want us to say, that's what we're going to start saying. We're going to find the data that supports that belief. I remember being like, he was a really good chemistry teacher. He showed us whatever, I can't remember, the Al Gore movie, and then he showed us another one that was like arguing that the sun as a star just goes through phases, and it has over and over for millennia, and then he just kind of let us make up our own mind. That was environmental chemistry. But as a future Marxist, a budding Marxist at the time, I was like, it was always obvious to me, like, who writes the checks really controls things. And that stuck with me. Oh yeah, well, if they want you to say that, then you'll say that. If you're, what's the Upton Sinclair quote? A man's it's hard to convince a man of something when his job depends on him not being convinced of it. Maybe that's going on with some climate scientists.
probably have some real hard scientific evidence to back this up. So we need to end this. We need to do everything we can to make sure that the future of our planet is secure for our children. Obama has a great plan to invest in alternative energy over the next 10 years. He plans to spend $150 billion. He calls it the new Apollo program. And he usually quotes JFK. He said, when JFK said we were going to the moon in 10 years, nobody was quite sure how we were going to do it. But we understood that if the American people make a decision to do something, it gets done. If the government will throw enough money at research and development for alternative sources of energy such as solar, wind, biodiesel, even nuclear, as George Bush said, then we will get this done. And it will.
How about fusion? Fusion City now. Fusion City now, right, Caleb Maupin? Fusion City now. And I agree. That kid, my instincts were correct. I was being brain poisoned. I was caught up in the hope and change of Barack Obama. But I did know, like, okay, the Apollo program, Manhattan Project. This government can split an atom when it wants to. It can put a man on the moon when it wants to. It could absolutely develop a fusion reactor if it wanted to. It doesn't want to do that because it would cut into oil profits, that's really who's running things in the West. And it would make you more free, and they don't really want you to be more free. Controlling energy is a good way to control you. You know, I heard a good one from Gonzalo Lira. He thinks what'll happen in Europe this winter is they may start a digital government currency, and your ability to turn your electricity on we'll go through that. We'll start with energy credits. And I tell you what, if you're a parent, you got kids, and they are shivering, you're going to do whatever you got to do. You're going to do whatever you got to do. You know? What's the quote? Hell knows no fury like a woman's scorn. Hell knows no fury like a 5-year-old that can't watch Frozen 2. All right. Hey, Lumpia. Hey, Drew. Welcome to the stream, guys. I agree. Inconvenient truth. Hey, Lumpia. I'm glad you dropped by. So let's keep going. Almost done with this, with my cringe.
And it will get accomplished, and it will be the greatest thing. It will entirely revitalize our economy, create hundreds of thousands of jobs. It will replenish the environment. So it's something that needs to be done. Definitely. Obama plans to reduce carbon emissions by 80% by 2050. That's part of his plan. But just to juxtapose, I love that word, juxtapose with John McCain, his campaign is presently being run by the CEOs of major oil companies and lobbyists. So what do you guys think is going to happen if he's president of the United States? Do you think he's going to bring in the leading scientists and people that aren't biased, or do you think the CEOs and lobbyists are going to get to choose what we do about the future of this energy crisis? Barack Obama graduated #1 from Harvard, as I said, and he will surround himself with the brightest and best, most intellectuals in this entire country, the leading scientists,
Most intellectuals.
the leading environmentalists, and we will end this once and for all. We will actually make progress. He's actually talked about creating a science
my
advisor and
sweet
technology
summer
advisor
child.
who will become part of his cabinet and actually help him make decisions. So I think he is definitely the brighter and better candidate on energy.
Okay, I'd like to first touch on their last comment from the last question. Obviously, you have never read our founding fathers' words or been to Washington, because the Ten Commandments are everywhere, and the ACLU has been trying to take them off public grounds for years. And to energy, I think we should do both. We should drill for oil while we build nuclear power plants, get coal and natural gas. Um, McCain wants to build 45 nuclear power plants by the year 2030. Um, and 20% of our energy comes from them right now. And one of them is in my home state of in a city near my hometown called Russellville. And the French right now have 80% of their power coming from nuclear power plants. And we, America, the greatest nation ever in the world, aren't using nuclear power, and the French are. And back to coal, coal can be clean because we have the technology to make it cleaner. We did not have that technology when we used it before for several things, power our trains. I mean, we used it for a lot of things. McCain's plan will provide 30,000 jobs initially and more. And then natural gas is abundant. If you travel to my hometown, they're drilling for natural gas like gold. And it's environmental safe. I've seen them drill for it. And they use a machine that goes underneath the ground and drills a hole. It doesn't cut down trees or nothing like that. And McCain wants to give incentives to companies that try to help the environment. He also wants to make the EPA part of his cabinet. And in regards to the role of conservation, I think it's the people's responsibility as well to do their part. For example, turn off lights when you're not using them, or commute with others. Why do we have big RVs when we could go camping like we used to with tents? recycle. Uh, don't throw your trash and cigarette butts on the ground. I'm sure you can go to our student designated cigarette smoking places and find them everywhere.
I went there directly after
Um,
this.
And then if you have to make several trips to town, make one. You know,
I know.
we all have to do our part.
1 minute rebuttal.
Now, I hate my smug response to this. I mean, looking back, we need to build a fusion reactor. They need to research and build a fusion reactor. And until then, we need safe nuclear reactors. I don't think fossil fuels are nearly as bad as the current bourgeois-owned media narrative dictates. I'm not scared of them. But if you are scared of them, just why don't we get that $50 billion we just sent to the Ukraine? Why don't we get that back if this is really such an existential threat and use that to develop fusion energy? But instead, you're blowing up natural gas pipelines in the middle of the sea, which really makes me question your seriousness here about how big of a deal this is, you know. But anyway, here's my response to her.
Oh man, I had a thought. I don't know if I should say it or not. Um, well, I will. Maybe the next president should just tell everyone just to make one trip into town, and that will really help solve the energy crisis. So, well, you talked about the French, and I know you guys really like the French over there on the right. Uh, but I also think that's incredible that you talked about how their nuclear program is a great idea, and it is. And Obama has said that nuclear power should be part of the plan, but we need to diversify and have as many different plans as we possibly can because this is a huge problem and it's going to take huge solutions and huge government sanctions. So, as far as oil, drilling as much as we can drill and drill and drill and drill, and it'll help for a while, but it's a finite amount. There isn't an unlimited supply of oil in the ground, so we have to come up with some new way to power our country.
Okay, 1 minute.
Notice that I didn't mention just drilling for oil. I said that we should use nuclear power plants, coal, natural gas, and any other form, wind, solar. I think we should use solar and wind, but that's not enough.
It's not.
Because
She's right.
wind, you're going to have to build a lot of wind power fans to just power, you know.
So she's right. I take my hat off to you. I can't remember your name. I hope you're somewhere. I hope you're very happy. I hope you are as well, my friend. And I hope you're rich too. I genuinely do. I hope you're rich, wealthy, just having a blast. But this is a thing about being young. Someone can't deliver a point as eloquently as maybe they could have or should have, and you pounce on that instead of the content. And I felt I'd really done a good job here at the time, but looking back, her heart's in the right place, and she was right.
And I think we should do everything to make ourselves what America used to be and not depend on foreign means.
All right. Our final question.
I agree with
tonight,
that 100%.
deals with healthcare, which of course is one of the more pressing concerns for many Americans. And here's the question: should the federal government guarantee every citizen
But yeah, we should be independent. We have all the resources we need in this country. My only critique would be since no human being created the oil in the ground, the ownership of it should be in everyone's hands. You can't own something that no human being created, except enough land for you to live on and work.
Access to affordable health care, and if so, then how can
So the oil would be owned by us all, and the profits from the sale of that oil will be used to benefit us all. How is that possible? It's been done before. Just read the history of Russia. Look at China. It's been done before. It is not a pipe dream. It's very possible. Venezuela's doing it today. Who owned it before? British Petroleum? Same in Iran. Who owned it before? British Petroleum? I mean, isn't that a head scratcher that British Petroleum owns the oil in Venezuela or Iran? Think about it. Who should own the oil in Iran? The Iranian people. Who should own the oil in Venezuela? The Venezuelan people. Who should own the oil in America? The American people. Who should own the farmland in America? The American people. Not Bill Gates.
it be accomplished?
And not the Chinese. Chinese don't let us buy their farmland. We shouldn't let them buy ours. Maybe our government doesn't have the American people's interests at heart. Could that be possible? Yes, it is.
The question that I would pose to that, because it's in this election, a democratic view that everyone should be given, the healthcare issue. How are you going to pay for it? Are you going to raise taxes?
Nationalization of natural resources. Next question.
On just the billionaires to pay for that? Are you only raising it on the top 1%?
No taxes.
There, you're going to have to raise it on the middle class, like you say you don't want to.
Taxes don't matter.
So it doesn't really make any sense to me. You see that with a lot of economic policies there. All of these tie into each other. Healthcare, the economy, education, all of it. It all ties in, because how are you going to pay for it if you're not raising taxes on everybody and you're just raising taxes on the rich?
No
It
taxes.
doesn't make
Nationalization of natural resources.
First of all, healthcare is a responsibility as much as it is a right. And the problem right now, it goes into welfare also. We've got a lot of people who aren't working and who aren't even trying to work.
They're collecting dividend checks
And
at
so
home.
we're going to pay
from
for
BlackRock.
them to get government health care. Socialized health care like that is being done in Canada right now. And the Canadians come across the border to get our health care because they can't get anything. It was funny. I went and saw An American Carol, which is a funny little movie that came out. It's a political movie. And they've got a scene in there with people going to Cuba for socialized healthcare, and this rich family says, "Oh, we're going to get our healthcare here," and all that. And they show people in a line, and they're just tossing pills out to them. And while that's not really what happens, let's think about it, guys. If we're paying for everyone to get healthcare, how are we going to be able to?
Isn't Cuba ranked higher than the U.S. now in its healthcare? Trains some of the best doctors in the world, sends them around the world in exchange for oil and natural resources. Pretty sure. I'm pretty sure the average life expectancy in China is now higher than America. Pretty sure I heard that. If I'm wrong, I'll admit I was wrong, but I'm pretty sure that is now the case. So it's that killer socialism he's talking about.
Go after everyone's needs individually if we socialize healthcare. How are we going to be able to get to everyone in time? A lot of people don't have the time to wait for that socialized healthcare to kick in. Back to the welfare issue. The average person on welfare has 2 cars that are over the year 2000 and cable TVs in their house. What that shows me is they're not using their welfare money for their welfare.
2 cars. So could they have 1 car? And cable TV, I mean, how are they going to get pumped full of government propaganda without cable TV? Like, this is why you get a free smartphone, brother, so we can control your mind through it. I don't really know if that's a benefit. I don't know. I always wonder what they exactly want with this. Like, you live in a cage and then you work your way out of it, maybe? I don't know. It's just a weird thing to focus on to me. But I mean, communists, we don't want free stuff. We just want an economy where the opportunity is there for everybody. You know, some people are going to get better breaks than others, but if you're living in an economy where the only way out of poverty is to play the stock market or buy a Cardano at 3 cents, come on, man. That is not a rational way to run a country at all. Like, it'd be like you're stuck on a desert island. What's his name from the New Atlas was talking about this on the Gonzalo Lira stream. You're stuck on a desert island. You're trying to figure out how to like manage the resources on the island. And one guy's like, what if let's make some derivative swaps. Let's make some cryptocurrencies. Let's make all kinds of speculative bubbles. That's what's going on in the West. And tick, tick. Game's about up. But let's demonize people on welfare, you know. They've got all the power. Not Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett, Klaus Schwab.
They're using it for their entertainment. And so the same people who aren't using their welfare money right now for welfare, we want to pay for them to have free health care because they can't afford it. Like, guaranteed.
I do think it's not a good point to focus on like more welfare. I don't think that's going to win people over to the MAGA communist cause. I want people for it to be easier for people to start small businesses and to succeed with those small businesses because there's not a giant monopoly in their town that I might also work for because there's nowhere else to work unless you want half the pay. It'd be nice to have a government that would level that playing field, maybe actually prevent monopolization. But it's pretty clear at this point that the only way that's going to happen is if the government is led by people driven by an ideology which is actually puts the working class at the head and creates a government that protects the working class over and above the monopoly class. We're living in the exact opposite in America. And that's why no one feels like a politician can do anything. No one feels like the government can do anything. Because this ain't your government. You're not living in a dictatorship of the proletariat. You're living in a dictatorship of the bourgeoisie. Once I learned that was very eye-opening. Getting the right guy at the top of this government ain't going to make no difference. Obama, McCain, whoever. Even MAGA communism, that's just because Trump is an opening. It's obvious that the deep state, the people that really run this government, don't want him in there. So that's why he should be in there. Because there's some rift emerging in the system. And I'm not beyond a JFK type scenario. You know, we'll see how brave he is. See how brave you are, Jimmy Dore. I hope you're brave. We need people to be brave. I'm trying to be brave right now in my own little way.
If they got up and they stopped watching cable TV and went out to get a job, they could probably pay for their own health care.
Well, I was raised in a Republican home predominantly. My father was a Southern Baptist minister, And I heard certain things like that growing up. They're all stone slackers sitting at home on welfare, not even going to work. I and I really believed it for a long time because that's what my father told me. That's what my mother told me. But then I did some research, and there are people out there, guys, that are genuinely in need. They're not. They're not just sitting at home watching cable television. They need someone to help them. And uh, Ryan had a good little story. You want to share that with them?
So that sentiment, I mean, my heart is still there. They're just never going to be helped through this government. We need a brand new government. This government needs to be the apparatus of this state. This state was not built in the image of the working class, so it needs to be dismantled, hopefully in a peaceful way. Historically, it has not went that way. But it needs to be dismantled, and a new state needs to be built in its place to protect the interests of our class, the working class. I couldn't articulate that at this time. My heart was there because I believed in what Jesus said. There are people that are in need. And it's goofy in this modern age that we just pray for them when we have obvious ways to restructure society in a way to where people can be more free and more economically stable. You can get both.
This is going towards back to the socialized healthcare. So we're saying by making healthcare a privilege as opposed to a right, that let's say the CEO of this oil company, his kid, he falls out of a tree and breaks his leg or something, and he's gonna get treated, no problem, because his dad's got money. But then we've got, Joe down the street. I don't hate using Joe, but Joe down the street who is a manager at McDonald's, and his daughter's got leukemia, and he can't afford her radiation treatment. Why is it right that the guy who has more money, his son with a broken leg, is treated over a girl who is dying, a young girl? Like, I just don't see how you can see it.
That's where I'm at in my life now. You want the market for the new Call of Duty game? Go for it. But in that type of situation, there should not be a market. If we have a genuine shortage of baby food or baby formula, that should be rationed out. There should not be a market. The babies should not suffer. Just like he said, because of the sins of a father. You can see that with abortion. What about baby food? If you don't need it to live, throw it on the market. If you need it to live at this point, in a world where you can hear me instantly through an electric microphone, digitized and broadcast, throughout all of the planet, there is no reason why every baby can't have baby food. And it can if you plan production.
Ryan there. He brought up that movie, which is a parody. It's not fact. But a lot of people hate Michael Moore, especially conservatives. But he made a movie called Sicko, and I think you guys should really check it out. He does go to Cuba, and shows their healthcare system, which is, I won't say better than ours, but they actually treat their citizens.
I will now.
He also went to
100%
France,
better
which
than
is,
ours.
Really, really interesting. There was a certain couple. They were one of them. The woman was French. The husband was from the United Kingdom, and they went to France to have their child. They spent 9 days in a hospital room, had a C-section. She had a C-section. The baby was delivered. You know how much this cost? $190. You know how much that would cost in America? Literally thousands and thousands of dollars.
So I think the Communist Party in France, didn't it in the 70s, it got like 20% of the vote in some election or something like that? It does seem like wherever stuff like this exists, there's a communist party that's very powerful, or has been historically. It was a huge light bulb moment for me when I realized that the only reason FDR did what he did was because the Communist Party USA in the 1930s was so powerful, organizing so many unions, that they were legitimately afraid of revolution. It had just happened in Russia. So we need that again. I mean, it became clear enough for me to get on the internet and say it every week. Jeopardize my job, jeopardize whatever. Deal with the hateful comments from, the boomer uncles on the internet. Bring it on. I appreciate you boosting me in the algorithm. But it's obvious to me that it's the only path forward. And so here I am doing my part.
I mean, it's crazy that we are one of the richest countries in the world, and our healthcare is ranked 39th. 39th. There are people.
I still agree with this.
There are veterans out there that can't get treatment, even though they served our country. I mean, it's ridiculous. The overhead for doctors is 60%. The overhead in Thailand is 6%. It needs to be fixed from the
Gutted.
bottom up so that we can treat everyone, because healthcare is a right. If your kid's sick, he should be able to get treated, even if you're not the wealthiest person on the block.
I don't disagree with that. We can quibble on it being a right. But if we got the means to give it to everybody, which I think obviously we do, it is a sin. It is satanic not to. It is. And I've got the inklings. I've got the hints. Let's destroy this system and rebuild it. Let's destroy it and rebuild it. Now I'm just extended that to all of it. Let's tear it all down and rebuild it. This is gross. So my instincts weren't all bad. A lot of cringe in there. I'll never vote for a Democrat as long as I live in my entire life. I'd never vote for a mainstream Republican, mainstream Democrat. Anytime I would vote for one is this because there's some opening to advance communism further. I think Donald Trump may be that opening at this time because of the FBI turning on him and the rural working class, the whites, the deplorables are the hope for the Maoist revolution in America. The countryside surrounds the cities, y'all. Hashtag MAGA communism.
All right, so what I'm hearing right now is we need to pay for everyone else's health care. Okay, I have no problem giving someone money if their daughter has leukemia to get them treatment. My insurance
Obviously
agent,
you
actually,
do,
Dale
brother.
Sanders, his son Ryan Sanders has a son who had a rare form of cancer and had to go to the hospital for that. I know how it works.
Well, insurance should be made illegal and should be socialized completely. Except maybe like you can get theme park insurance or I don't know, deep sea fishing insurance, space shuttle insurance, car insurance, life insurance, home insurance. Yeah, socialize all that. It's a racket.
Works. I've seen these situations. I've been to inner city St. Louis. I've been to the slums and I've seen how these people live, and I know how rough it is. But when we talk about paying for other people's health care, we talk about a lot of things, and it goes back to other issues too. It goes back to the abortion issue, because we're also paying for that, because socialized health care is going to pay for all those health care needs, including abortion. So you're asking me to pay for something that I'm morally opposed to, and I'm just not going to do it.
I mean, you pay to bomb every other country. I don't think Jesus would approve of that. You will do it when the laws change. It'd just be out of your tax dollars. But I don't know. That's the thing looking back at this, is me and these other people, all four of us are on the exact same side. We really are. We're just quibbling around the edges. Okay. Everybody in this room is working class. And all these issues are just to divide the working class. I'm over that.
All right. Well, you guys really pounded in the fact that we were founded, with Christian values, and I just want to pound in the fact that I think that would be one of Christ's values. Matthew 25 said, "I was hungry and you fed me. I was thirsty and you gave me drink. I was homeless and you gave me room. I was sick and you stopped to visit." So, if our country is founded on Christian values, I think we should take care of our sick. I think that would be one of Jesus's principal teachings. Um, and I think it's just a moral issue. Like, really, if you have a lot of money, are you able to get treatment? Yeah, you are. But if you don't have any money, is it right that you'll die? Like the movie John Q. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but Denzel Washington did everything he could to get his child heart surgery, and he couldn't. And the doctors are just like, "Well, sorry, you guys don't have insurance." He tried to scrounge together as much money as he possibly could, and his son still almost died. I mean, I don't want to spoil the end for you guys, but it needs to change.
All right. Thank you. We're now going to move to closing statements, of which
We're almost there.
will be 2 minutes for each side. And as determined, the Republicans will go first.
The first point that I want to hit on in the closing before I get to everything I had planned is how
Ooh,
the Democrats
new
want
Garland
to,
Nixon out.
put the charge on the church. They've quoted the Bible a lot.
Why Joe Biden
in,
is the worst
determining how we're
president
gonna
ever.
give healthcare to people, and
It's exciting.
and that's very it's a Christian thing to do. But these are the same people that want to separate church and the government. So if you're gonna separate church from the government, then you don't get to bring church into the debate,
It's not really true.
because that's not what you back up.
I think it can inform
Now,
the
Jesus,
government.
absolutely. Would Jesus have given that man a drink? Would Jesus have gone and visited? Yes. And to say that that's a liberal view, to go and visit someone who's sick, is insane. That's ludicrous. That makes Republicans out.
So would this be you debate bros out there? Is this a straw man, like taking the weakest part of an argument and acting like that's the main thing that was said? I think that's what it is. But it doesn't really matter. I just want to get this over with.
And what they've tried to do is to make Republicans out to be a bunch of snooty rich people. Well, guys, newsflash, I'm not rich. The jacket I'm wearing is my dad's, because that's how not rich I am. Okay? And I'm a Republican. And I go visit people in the hospital when they're dying. And I help sick people. If a guy came up and needed a place to stay, we've done it multiple times, let people stay in our house. That's Christian charity. And so to say that's a liberal viewpoint versus a conservative viewpoint is insane. And the people who didn't want to bring religion into it brought religion into it. Guys, here at C of O, the main thing to think about is the morality. When you're voting, and what they would say is, I don't support abortion, but I support Barack Obama's tax plan, so that's why I'm going to vote for him. So why can't you not support John McCain's tax plan, but support his morals? We're Christians, okay? Let's vote like Christians. Let's be Christians. Let's go for those morals and keep America afloat.
That's why I love coming home to communism, because you get both. You do get the morals, and you do get the economics. You get both. Christian communism.
I'm going to follow Mr. Sykes' lead and stand up here. If you guys, they said we brought religion to it a lot. If you want to take religion out of it, that's fine. Take religion out of it. I don't imagine you'll find a single religion around the world that would say that it's okay to see someone dying of a terminal or any sort of illness, not necessarily terminal, but some illness that can be treated, and you don't help them. Like, there's this some deep-seated moral, it's wrong. We need to, if we're able to help those people, we need to help those people. But I'm going to try not to focus on the negative. I'm going to try to focus on the positive. The election's coming up November 4th, and while this is predominantly a Christian school, and I consider myself a Christian, just because I'm a liberal, I don't think that makes me not a Christian.
I might change. You gotta hold out hope for the liberals. I just called myself one, and just called myself a Christian. It is very important to me. You start to get mad, and you start to demonize people that disagree with you. We can't do that. If we're serious about this, we can't let our egos get hurt when conservative boomer uncles say we're baby killing communists. We have to leave our hearts open for them. And we can't do the same with liberals that believe everything they hear about Putin and the war in the Ukraine. The second one, for me, is much harder at this point in my life. I get where Haas is coming from, where he talks about them supporting Yahtzees, them blowing up Darya Dugin. I get it. But at the end of the day, I always sleep better when I try to live like Jesus. And that means I can't want to nail Nancy Pelosi to the cross. I have to pray for her soul. Pray she sees the light. Pray she comes around, and protect my family in the process from her until she does.
But I believe this is extremely important. And like I said, John McCain's morals, I think abortion deserves a seat at the table when you step in to vote, but I don't think it deserves every chair. There's a lot of other issues here, a lot of issues that will directly affect you guys' future. And I think you need to think about that. And Barack Obama is a Christian. He's not a Muslim. He's not a terrorist. He's a Christian. He said it hundreds of times.
Oh boy.
His morals, I don't think, are that different than any of ours, really.
Well, this is
mine personally.
This is before the drone program. This is before Edward Snowden. This was before he got up in front of Wall Street and said, I'm the only thing standing between you boys and the pitchforks. This is before, Wall Street will bail you out. You 6 million homeowners, enjoy your tent underneath the local overpass. But I was young, and I'm glad I gave my heart. I'm glad I gave my heart to this, because I needed to be disappointed by this person to get where I am today. I never would have been brave enough to call myself a communist, to read Marx, Lenin, Che, Stalin, without being disappointed by absolutely everyone else in the political scene. So I'm grateful. I am grateful. Mega Ape. I'm humble that I don't know everything. I'm humble I learn every day. And I'm grateful to those that led me astray, because they helped me see the light today. And I think right now, this is the best light we have in America. Rural working class people coming together with the political vanguard that are obsessed with this stuff and read it and try to figure out what actually works. And the only thing that's ever actually stood up to the World Economic Forum is communism. It is not a coincidence that Russia Is the country standing up to their evil, nefarious, satanic, end of days plans? Russia has a history of communism, which the Soviets saw it as scientific Christianity. China also standing up to the plan. Not a coincidence. It's being ran by the Chinese, the Communist Party of China. If they say Chinese Communist Party, you can be sure they don't know anything about China. CPC, not CCP. Anyway.
And I consider myself a Christian, and I love Jesus with all my heart.
I do.
I don't think there's anything wrong there. How about you, Noel? You got anything to say? I've summed it up. Well, I'll ramble a little bit. I got 30 seconds. Let's see. I'll be like a politician here. I want to really pound home. This is they
This
don't
part's
do this
bad.
on TV because it's playing the race card. And I'm not saying you guys should vote for Barack because he's black. I'm definitely not saying that. That is no argument. But I got cut off there, and
Well,
I think I leaned into this because my subconscious thought it was funny. And I was being like very intimidated by high level people in this college on the front row. And it's terrifying in this school because you would get called into the dean and you would get kicked out of college. And you knew you were going to go have to take out a $50,000 loan to finish somewhere else. I got called in once for writing a Bible verse. I had a friend that got kicked out of school for drinking a beer. And I went to the play that he was supposed to star in, and I wrote on the convocation card, I wrote like I quoted Bible verse, "Let he who is without sin cast the first stone." And I said, because all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, all except the administration, I guess. I got called into the dean and had to explain why I wrote that. And I leaned into it and said, the good Lord had laid on my heart to write that. Which maybe he did. Why else would I say it?
can I please finish that thought? Just please. Can I please finish that thought?
No, you
the danger
can't.
of rambling is
No, we're
that
just
it
gonna
can
let
cause
you 20-year-old look as
First,
bad
I'd
as
like to
possible
thank
because it
all four
makes
of our,
my side
debaters
look
tonight.
better.
Yeah.
See, when I left this debate at that time, I just thought that's the only thing I could think
And-
about. I should have just said it. But
I will just quickly remind everybody that the election is
I was courageous and
Students,
scared at the same
there is still
time.
time to
So
vote, and we do have people who can notarize an absentee ballot, I believe, on this campus, especially in the Dean of Students office. So if you're from somewhere and you know you're going to have classes on Tuesday, thinking you can't vote, no, you can by absentee, and it can be notarized. So go out there and vote on November 4th.
So right here, he collected, when they had everybody walk out, they took everyone filled out who they thought won the debate, and he collected the votes. I don't know why, and I never saw the votes. So I was pretty sure I won. I don't really care because watching this is not what I believe today. A lot of it is. I think on the economic issues and taking care of the poor, my heart's still in the right place on all that. But props to David Honshu for recording this. Dave works at Children's Hospital now. He is in charge of their website, I believe. In charge of he used to edit their videos for him. So yeah. You can also watch me in a play here. I was in the zoo story. That's me on the right. You got to dig for that. I'm not just going to make it easy for you. So let's see. I am going to put in a link here and just see if anybody wants to hop on and talk for a while. Nobody did last week. It is late, and I got to work in the morning. I'm going to work at the pharmacy. I did get today off, which was amazing. I haven't had a day off in almost 6 months. I had a guy online. I think he's like a real estate agent because I think he hate watches me. So if you watch this, A1, whatever your name was, A1 reality or productions or whatever. I do actually work at Walmart. I am not just faking it. He thought I was faking working at Walmart, which is pretty funny to me. Nope, it's a real deal, brother. We got to pay those bills. And I have worked almost 7 days a week for 6 months. That's true. So I'll leave that up for a second. Just see if anybody wants to stop by. I'll talk to you guys for about 5 minutes. If nobody does, I have done my critique. You guys can tell I'm tired. I do have a lot of grading to do tomorrow. Grades are due on Monday. And I'm interested to listen back and see how this beast sounds. I don't know if you can see it, but I got it all set up. That's what all the audio is going through. So we're going through some classic preamps. The preamp that this is, I think Neil Young used this to record. And a few other pieces of equipment, the Teletronics leveler. If you buy it by itself, it's like $5,000. The Pultec is like $5,000, and I have a limiter. I think it's what's it called here? An 1176 limiter. The preamp is the 610A. It sounds really good when I monitor it. But hopefully it sounds good listening back. Kind of freaked me out a little bit when Bismuth. I don't think I had my preamp on until halfway through. But we figured it out. Every day we're learning. I think next week I'm going to try to do this in the middle of the day. I had a family reunion today, and the kids are so much fun to play with, but they take it out of you a little bit. They give it back, but they also kind of make you a little sleepy. If you guys are still listening, you should watch my new shorts I made. There's a new game in Walmart called Bibleopoly. And those things just jump out at me. Bibleopoly. The fact that Bibleopoly, they've turned Monopoly, the game, to satirize capitalism, cutthroat, stab your own child in the neck for $1 capitalism, is now Bibleopoly. You can buy Jerusalem, Bethlehem, and Nazareth and build hotels on churches. You build churches, not hotels, churches. If you land on it, God help you in Bibleopoly land. My goodness, what Bob Dylan call it? They're selling flesh-colored Christ that glow in the dark. It's easy to see without looking too far that nothing's really sacred. Nothing's really sacred. Let's see if Haas is streaming. That's probably where everybody's at. Nope. Well, Haas, no one to blame but myself. but we're just building and learning. We got another one down, a little more content, and never hurts to keep going. So guys, I'm gonna tell y'all good night. I'm gonna go brush my teeth, wash my face, crawl in bed with my babies, and work some at America's finest pharmaceutical company, Walmart, tomorrow. I feel bad for lots of things that I sell, but feel good about some others. I think some of the maintenance, like blood pressure medication. I asked the pharmacist, I go, how much do you think what's back here has extended the human lifespan? And she said probably 10 to 15 years. So a lot of the psychotropic stuff I have weird feelings about. Sometimes I think I might have better feelings just doing online grocery or anything, you know. It's not really my passion in life, but we do some good back there, so I'll try to do a little bit. And I always preach to every customer. They're like, wow, this is a highway robbery. I'm like, yes, it is. It's a racket. And believe me, sir, ma'am, I am trying to do my part to change it. I really am. So I love y'all. There you go, Drew. I love y'all, and I will see you next week. We're doing one of these a week. I will put I'm gonna put a link up real quick. Never hurts to do a little shameless self-promotion. Like Buy Me a Coffee the best because it is quick and easy, as a very slick interface. I get to make the little buttons orange, and I'm putting up the membership link just in case anyone wants to become a member watching back. It's buymeacoffee.com/my name/membership. And that's really, I mean, any donations are amazing. I love that. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. The memberships are really cool though, because then I can start counting on that money every month and start figuring out ways to whittle back the second job. My primary job, I love being a teacher. It would take a lot for me to cut that one out. But if I started seeing that I was really, really making a difference with this and really, really producing things that were quality and able to teach more people in a broader way, it's not off the table. Nothing's set in stone. So you guys can check that out if you want. If you don't, that's fine too. Times are hard. They're getting harder every day for most of the people in the country. We got to have faith, and God will provide if you'll let him provide. All right. Faith, hope, and love. The greatest of these is love. Gratitude is the gas that makes it all happen. All right. Love every day. Every day above the grass is a good one. I love you guys. I'll see you next time.